Hello, so I am painting. I'm working on my painting here that obviously I've already started. And I would say it's a little more than half done. I'm painting in oil right now, but I didn't start this with oil. This is a little bit of a mixed media approach. And so far, it may surprise you, but I think I have about 3 hours of work into this painting. The reason I was able to get so far with it so quickly, I'm always trying to find ways to do things quicker because the amount of time I have to paint while I'm balancing everything else in my life, is I have to fight for the time. So I am constantly finding ways to do art that I like, that's my style, that's fun for me, that I enjoy doing, but fast. And so I started with painting the whole canvas very, very dark. And I had a very, very dark canvas, and then I put ink on it. So if you look over here, all these like inky sort of things that are going on, I did that over the dark. I put white ink on top of it, and it just gave layers to it. Then I used spray paint, and that whole thing took me maybe 20 minutes to paint it dark, put the ink and some spray paint. And then I probably spent another 20 minutes drawing out the lion. And then I've put like maybe an hour and a half so far into the oil. And I have a lot more to go in the oil. I would say at least another 6 hours, and then it'll probably be finished. So that's about a 9 or 10 hour painting, and that's good for me. So I'm happy you're here with me and watching me paint today. And we're gonna also talk about, just stealing time to be able to paint and prioritizing our creativity and what it's like these days, spinning all these plates and working so hard to be able to find that time to paint. It seems like a lot of times painting and creating is last on our priorities because we feel like it's selfish in a way. It's time for what we want, what we're passionate about, and we spend a lot of our lives obligated to others or helping others, or maybe it's a job or working and making a living. And so, I've been super blessed my life that I've been able to create and paint for a living. And, now that I teach and I run a business, run an art school, I devote a lot of time to helping artists and to create content and things like that. So I'm still balancing, just like you guys are, and trying to find that time to paint. But I am blessed and very fortunate that when I do, what I do for my work is related to art. And when I'm teaching, I'm painting. When I'm on an art retreat with artists, I'm definitely not complaining. But I do know what it's like to have to fight for that creative time. So we are running a poll right now, and Tanner will tell you about that poll. Tanner is here helping me with the chat. Many of you guys know who Tanner is. Take it away, Tanner.
I'm taking it right now. But yes, we have a poll going, and I'm going to end it right now. And I asked everyone in the chat what their what's the biggest thing that keeps them from making art right now. And with a pretty big majority, 38% of the vote was, I feel overwhelmed or stressed.
I definitely know what that's like these days.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about
that.
that feeling of being overwhelmed when you have so many things to get done.
Yeah. And what Tanner and I were just talking about is how that long laundry list of, non-urgent things that need to get done. They're not urgent. It's not like, you have to show up for an appointment at a specific time and there's no getting out of it. These are things that are on the to-do list. They're stacking up. You haven't gotten time to get to them. And I have a bunch of those things, a bunch of little nagging things. And they're usually tasks and things like I don't want to do. And I've really worked my whole life trying to avoid those tasks that that aren't my destiny. You know, maybe they're things that have to be done, you know, like clean the toilet, but it's really not what I really want to do. So and it doesn't like feed into what I feel like I'm put on this earth to do. So I have tried, you know, and sometimes I've been in a financial position, you know, in my younger years where, you know, it was a struggle to hire somebody, you know, to do some things, or, you know, when my kids were older, I would try to get them to do some things and help out. So I think there's seasons in your life where you're able to farm out some of these tasks to other people, or eliminate some things. There was a lot of things I would do that there was just a smarter way to do things, so I got rid of them. And I've been constantly pruning my schedule, and constantly, you know, looking at it and going, all right, what am I spending a bunch of time on that is useless and doesn't serve me and doesn't fulfill me or make me feel like I'm being purposeful. And so I think it's an ongoing thing, you know, almost like a marriage. It's like we're married to our time, we're married to our schedule, and it's something that you have to nurture, you have to finesse, you have to constantly work at. It's not like a one and done thing where one day you arrive and you live a perfect schedule. It's like you always have to check your schedule, check how you're spending your time, and things are sneaky, you know, like, I don't know, the day you discovered, you know, YouTube and what's all on YouTube, it's like, ugh, now you're watching a bunch of YouTube stuff. And it started out so innocent, where you're watching, you know, how to do whatever with watercolor. And next thing you know, you're watching some like debate about something and you're being entertained because people are acting so stupid, you know, and now 2 hours of your life went by and you'll never get it back. So I'm constantly evaluating and looking at what am I doing with my time, and is it beneficial, and is there somebody else, you know, that could be doing these things that needs the work, and they're at a position in their life where, you know, they need to do that. So yeah, but when I have a bunch of things on that to-do list that I'm not getting to, I tend to start to feel overwhelmed when that list gets too long, and I know I need to prune that list and go through it and, you know, check off the things or get rid of the things, delete the things that are not that important. And what is something on this list that I can just get done? Maybe some of those things are even 5-minute projects, but you just keep putting them off because you know, you can't get to it, and it looms over you, and then it makes you feel overwhelmed. And when you do feel overwhelmed, you're not very productive. That's what I find.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's just, I feel like so much of it comes from the fear of starting, or not even, maybe not fear, but it's like the hardest part is starting that long list of things. And I feel like once you do start it, then it gets easier and you actually get that feeling of productivity.
Well, that's a good point, Tanner. And I think that you can apply that to painting too. If you have a sterile, stark studio space that hasn't been touched in months, and there's no projects going, there's no paint squirted out, there's nothing, you know, or worse, you have like a mess in there, and every time you pass by, you know, and the door's open, you shudder and you think, ugh, the first thing I have to do is clean that up. So you don't go and paint and then, you know, or create anything because it's just too daunting to face the mess. or there's nothing started. So I think that those are all things that, can keep you out of the habit of creating a habit around something. The best way I can relate to that is exercise and working out. I used to not be an exercise person, and I never exercised. I never worked out. And almost my whole life in high school, I played on sports teams, whatever. And that was like the last time I ever exercised in my whole life. To me, flinging kids around and doing mixed media projects, where you squat and stand, and that was my exercise. And then about 46 years old, I'm 52 now, so that's what, 6 years ago?
You have one of those?
Six. We can do math. 6 years ago, I was like, I need to exercise. This is getting ridiculous. Like I want to age well. And I realized I need to exercise. So I had no habit of it. I tried, I would start, I would stop, I'd poop out. It was ridiculous. And reading Atomic Habits really, really helped me, because they basically said in there to find a space that you go to the same every time, and close, and so a designated space, a designated time that doesn't change, maybe a uniform or clothes that you wear for it. So if you struggle to get that painting time, you could think about buying yourself a pair of overalls, right? And something you don't care about getting paint on. It is your uniform for painting. And put it out in a place around your house or in your closet it's accessible, it's ready to put on. And then have a designated time. Every day at 5 o'clock, or every day after dinner at 6:30, I'm gonna put on my uniform and get to work until 9 o'clock. And so 3 hours every day, no matter what, you're going to create. And if that means that all you do is sit on your guest bedroom floor and look through magazines, at least you went in there, you had your overalls on, and you showed up. So, who looks at magazines anymore? But that was the first thing that came to my mind. You peruse Pinterest. So that really helped me for exercise. It was like sports bra, tennis shoes, leggings, and I was in business. And I had this one spot in my house that I would go to work out. And I wasn't getting good exercise, but I showed up and I built the habit. Then I got more educated. I got some apps. I got some free weights. I started the habit. And then finally, a year ago, I started working with like a personal trainer, taking actual professional classes where I learned about exercise, did things that were really beneficial, and that changed everything. And then I saw my body change. But that was after 5 years, 6 years of doing it on my own, and I built the habit. So now I cannot even imagine not working out. I just can't imagine it. I am now officially a workout person. I'm one of those people that's like, I have to work out today. I'm one of those people. So, but I never dreamed ever that I would be. And it happened because I built a habit. And I don't think the habit of painting and creating should take 5 years. Although learning from people, following people's footsteps, seeking professional help, I think is the fast track to get into the habit and let it work for you so that your efforts really count. Because for the first 5 years that I worked out, there was no evidence of it, none. I was still flabby, I was still overweight. There was no evidence. And only since I sought professional help for it did I really see a difference. But maybe that's just me and I'm slow. I don't know. Maybe that's true for everybody. But I think that applies to art as well. If you're really, really, really stuck, seeking professional help, taking art classes, taking, apprenticing with, helping out a professional local artist. There's a lot of ways to get professional help, to instill an art practice. So this is the kind of part of the painting that I really enjoy. Actually, I enjoy all of it, but I like the beginning part too. But I really like this like part where it starts to come alive and look more, like the source and more like a real lion here, and not, kind of clunky. Most of this is over here is still acrylic. I have a little oil in the background, but mostly that's acrylic. This is just got a glaze, an oil glaze on it. And I've only kind of started on, maybe the second to last or third to last layer on the face here. And so I love that because I'm getting to the point where I can start to imagine really what it's going to look like. And to me, it's very cathartic to just stare at my source here and look at shapes and, see what I see and try to emulate the forms. It's very right brain. I don't even know how I'm talking to you right now, because I guess my left brain's talking to you and my right brain is painting. That must be what's happening.
You've learned to separate the halves.
I must have. So, yeah.
Yeah, someone in the chat said, kind of jumping off that it is starting a new painting that is the hardest part, because there is the moment, like kind of you're in right now towards the end, that's like, yes, this was all worth it.
Totally.
It's worth the journey of starting this painting to get to this moment where you see it come together. But starting it is where a lot of, like, that blank canvas, I think, gives a lot of artists that pause of, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, and so what do you do to get started, to go from 0 to 60, right? How do you get the motor running? And what I tell people is to start with sources, because like this here, I think you guys can see this, right? So this here is my source, and I made the source. This lion I made in Midjourney, and then everything around it. Some of these flowers came in from Midjourney. Some of these lights came from Midjourney. This is an abstract painting, a piece of an abstract painting that I've done in the past, and I used a program called Pixelmator to put it together. Now, you don't have to use a computer program or Pixelmator to make a source. You can look through old photos that you've taken, or go outside with your camera phone, and take some pictures. That's a great place to start. If you like to do landscapes or to paint, things that are more natural, you can just go outside, go for a walk, and basically it's like a treasure hunt. What am I gonna find? What am I gonna paint? What am I gonna take pictures of, that's gonna be my painting? So start with collecting sources, and if you, whatever your method is, maybe it's sketching. Maybe you go a lot of little towns and small cities and big cities. Every big city for sure has figure drawing. A lot of times they're in community colleges, and you literally just pay a small fee. Usually it's like $30, and you can go in. I have some students I'm working with, and this is how they collect sources: is they go and sketch at the figure drawing class, and they work from their sketches, and they make these really cool, sort of abstract figure paintings. So whatever your method is, to find source material to work from, because most of us don't just paint out of our head. If you paint out of your head, well then maybe sketch some ideas, make some thumbnails, get something down, find some painting surfaces to paint on, and get started just playing with some shapes and some brush strokes and some drips and some, kind of working loose and watery, and see what happens. But getting going in the source department, finding inspiration. You don't find inspiration or the idea of what to paint next by sitting on your couch thinking about it, or waiting for it to come and telling yourself, well, you know, when I figure out what it is I'm going to paint, then I'll go paint. Inspiration finds you working. Picasso said that, and even though I don't like the guy, it's true. He, you know, that's something he coined that is absolutely true. You will find inspiration if you're working. So if all else fails, just start playing around with papers, canvases, cardboard. Dang, just go find a piece of cardboard and put house paint on it and start painting on it. So get moving in the direction. If you work from photographs, look through photographs, take photographs. If you are tech savvy and you like apps, you know, play with some apps and make some things digitally. Go on Midjourney and play around with some prompts and look at Midjourney. There's so many ways to get inspiration these days. You could go on Pinterest and find a genre of art that you like. Let's say it's abstract flowers. And you could just type in abstracted florals paintings and see what other people are doing until you get inspiration, and find 5 paintings from 5 different artists and, you know, look at them and couple pictures of flowers and do sort of a mishmash of, you know, what you see there. And, you know, that's a way to get moving. So starting something happens with a decision and moving towards inspiration, and not counting on having inspiration first. You just have to move in the direction of where inspiration is waiting for you. Inspiration is somewhere in your future. It could be 3 days from now, it could be 3 hours from now, it could be 30 minutes from now, but it is somewhere in the near future of where you are today. And all you have to do is move in that direction. And suddenly, boom, like a bolt of lightning, you will be inspired. You'll have a direction. You'll go, I know what I'm going to do. And excitement will come, and a fire in your belly will begin brewing, and you will start creating, and you'll feel so good. So that is what I recommend, and how I've known people, you know, to find it and know how to start.
Yeah, and someone actually said in the chat that I think also plays a big factor in this is, they said, I find that when I am more consistent in the mastery program, when I'm more active on the app and joining calls, it's too easy for me to rationalize not having time when I'm quote unquote by myself.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Like having a sense of community, it helps you build accountability, because then, you know, you're not, because like that person said, it is very easy if you're always by yourself, you're like, well, I don't have time.
Right.
But if you're active in some sort of community, whether it's the Milan art community or a local art community or something, you're surrounded by other people that are also kind of reaching for the same thing you are. I think that's a great way to find motivation. Yeah.
It's true. I heard somebody tell me once, it annoyed me, and I thought, who is this guy? Why is he telling? I don't like what he just said. But I found it to be totally true. He told me that he can take a look at the 5 people I spend the most time with, and he can determine my future. I was like, man, what does that mean? What are you trying to say about the 5 people I hang out with? But it's true. The community that we really surround ourselves, good, bad, or otherwise, is largely influencing our decisions. And if you want to be more creative, find some creative people to hang out with. At least rub shoulders with some creative people. It will significantly help you. If you struggle with time management, find people who are great with time management and hang out with them. If you're like thinking this is you know, so difficult. Everybody I know is, you know, not that way, and I don't know how to find people like that. Read books. That's the best way to hang out with people who are great at time management, or who are creative, or who are, you know, going places, or who are good with finances, or who are good with real estate, or who are, whatever it is you want, go hang out with those people. The fastest, easiest, cheapest way to hang out with those people is listen to audiobooks of people who know stuff about the thing that you want. So there's a million art books out there. I listen to them all the time. Most of the time when I'm painting, I'm listening to an audiobook. And if you're sitting here thinking and about to tell me, oh, I can't listen to audiobooks while I paint, it distracts me, I get it. It used to distract me too. And I remember Jake used to tell me all the time, listen to audiobooks while you're painting. You can learn something. And I would tell him, no, it distracts me. It messes with my brain. I can't do it. I've tried. And it's true. But guess what? As soon as I persisted and I got through that initial like, oh, I tried and it didn't work and I got distracted and I just persisted, I was able to do it. Something happens to your brain. And it's not just me. This is a lot of people that I talk to and I've listened to. We've had discussions about this. This is a very common thing. So if you struggle with being able to listen to audiobooks while you paint, just push through, keep trying, and you will absolutely get to the place where you can listen to audiobooks. Something will happen to your brain. I even remember it happened to me when we were living in Georgia, and I was in that big studio where we used to have all the workshops and stuff. And I was listening to this podcast, and all of a sudden I realized I was able to pay attention to everything the guy was saying, and I was painting. And I hardly remember what I painted, but I looked at what I was painting and it was good. I wasn't messing up or anything. And so then I thought, okay, it's just this podcast. It must have been a really interesting podcast or something different about this podcast. And so then I started listening to audiobooks after that, one after the other, and it worked. I could understand and listen and follow the audiobook. And so then I started talking to other artists about it, and they had a very similar path, that they just persisted in it. So I'm just convinced something happens to our brain as we practice, as it gets muscled. And now I'm talking to you and I'm painting. Sometimes I'm even talking about what I'm painting, talking about all kinds of subjects, and I haven't said too many ums. Sometimes that happens. I go,
Yeah, I wasn't running my counter. I should have.
Yeah. There's one. So, yeah, audiobooks. Such a great way to attain the skills. You know, a hard truth that I had to learn in life is that if I want something different, I have to be different. And none of us want to be different. It feels good to just, I don't know, keep going as we're going and not necessarily be different. We're in a comfort zone. It feels nice being in our comfort zone. But the truth is, if you want a different life, if you want something to change in your life, we have to change. And once I really learned that, I really got into whatever I was deficient in. I would read a book, I would listen to a book or a podcast to get better at that, whatever it was.
What's your favorite audiobook ever?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
That's
It's
an
probably the
insane
last
question.
one. I'll tell you what I'm listening to right now. I listen to everything you can imagine. I listen to creative books. I've listened to books on culture, on history books. I've listened to time management books, how to build a habit, how to be successful, business books, sales books. You name it, I have listened to it. I listen to spiritual things, about spirituality, whatever I'm interested in trying to grow. But a friend told me lately, we both were kind of helping each other, and she came to visit, and I would just tell her like, yeah, well, what you need to do is da 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 da, and then I would like say something, and she'd go, well, what you need to do is blah blah blah. And so she told me about this book because the theme that I kept running into was basically like, almost like trying to solve other people's problems, meddling in where I really don't belong, or, trying to assert my ways or myself in uninvited. And it's sneaky. It's little things. It's like, because I can see, like, especially younger people or my kids' friends, and I could see, like, oh, it's so simple. They just need to do this and everything will work out for them. And so I'm like, well, you know what you should, and they didn't ask me. And so, you know, it's like we carry other people's burdens is basically what it is. So the book is called, what's the book called?
Oh man, you talked it up.
I know, it's so good. I haven't finished it, but it's called Let Them. That's what it's called, Let Them. And it's in the author reads, so I'm listening to the audiobook, and it's really helped me. So whenever I get tempted to get involved in something, just yesterday, John was trying to get us involved in something. I'm like, no, let them, just let them. And so, you know, comes from the book. And it sounds like, oh, simple, like, oh, I don't need to read the book. I get it, let them, I get it. I said the same thing when my friend told me to read the book and she was describing it. I'm like, I don't need to read the book. You told me the idea and I get it. Okay, let them. But it goes into the science of it and what happens in your brain and your neural pathways, and even your hormones and your cortisol levels and all these things when we carry other people's burdens. And you know, even carrying extra weight, right? And not being physically optimal. A lot of that, and I'm not saying every time, but a lot of that is taking on other people's burdens. We're literally carrying the weight, and it shows up in our body. It has to do with our mental health. It has to do with our energy level. So many things. It's eye-opening. So do not think what I thought about that book, especially if you, like me, have you know, sort of are everybody's savior. You're everybody's advocate. You know, you drop everything to go help the so-and-so, and you put yourself last, and you put your creativity last, and you're basically asserting, not asserting, what am I saying? Inserting yourself in other people's businesses and circumstances. If that, you know, kind of resonates, I highly recommend the book. And even though you kind of get the gist of it, it's not like reading it and hearing how this woman talks about it. It changed how I looked at things. I wouldn't say that's the very best audiobook I've ever read, or listened to, but it's the one I'm listening to right now. So it's really hitting home for me.
Yeah, and also I feel like that's such a good point you kind of touched on taking on other people's burdens or being someone else's savior. Basically, putting other people first before yourself. I feel like that's such a big reason why so many people don't pursue their art or their creativity.
Especially women.
Yeah.
Men are used to being, you know, I'm just kidding.
Well, there's a grain of truth to that.
I'm kidding.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, my dad was that way. I mean, the whole kind of world revolved around, you know, his needs. So, and my mom danced around them all the time. So, but he's old school, you know, he's an old Greek man, and that's what he expects. That's what his old culture, I think things have changed a little bit, but, so yeah, anyway, I didn't mean to like get into the whole.
Let's not start that debate.
Let's not start that debate.
But it is something that a lot of women, especially women, do struggle with, as, you know, allowing yourself to put yourself first a little bit. How do you find that balance? Because I think a lot of people, like, you know, it's like almost uncomfortable putting yourself first or like that. Like, how do you balance that? Like, doing what you want to do, but still,
it's true, serving
others in some way.
Yeah. I don't know that I've struggled with it a lot, and because it's sneaky. Because I'm super, super lucky and blessed. My husband, John, I would say he struggles with it a lot because he's such a helper. He's such a like servant-hearted kind of guy. Like he just always wants to help. And sometimes I've even thought, is he doing that to avoid, you know, living for his goals and his dreams? And is it kind of a way to, divert fears? Or I don't know if that's true, but I'm, it's not like I have a husband that, demands things from me and, is that in my life. Like I've been so lucky that I get to make my own choices and live pretty free.
Instead, you got a business of people demanding things
Yeah,
from you.
but for me, it takes on a different form, and again, it's all things I've chosen. But I think for me, I get sucked in because I see the solution and I see how easy it is to fix something, and so I don't draw the line, and when I'm about to move into it, go, well, wait, is this serving your first primary goal? Is this serving what you've already committed to? Is this really serving, or is this a diversion? Is this something that's taking you off track? And something that's helped, so my son-in-law, Jake, and my daughter, Dimitra, and my husband, John, the four of us own the art school. And so we talk about, all the decisions and things that we're going to do. And we've sort of made an agreement, or I wouldn't say a pact, but like an agreement that we're not going to get off focus. We're not going to get derailed and sucked into something, some new idea, or some, something that distracts us, or some urgent thing. And so a lot of times I'll go, yeah, and because it's so sneaky, and I'll start to move into it, and Jake will be like, this feels like a distraction. Does this serve your primary goal that you said is this? And he holds me accountable, and so does John, so does Dimitra, and I hold them accountable, and it's really helped, because I think we're blind a lot of times to those types of things, and we don't realize, what we're doing to ourselves. So for me, that's really helped. I forgot what question you asked me. Did I even answer it? Probably
It was
over
about
answered
like how finding that balance between
finding the balance.
like doing going for your goal.
Okay, I know what I want to say about that now.
Yeah.
I think that knowing your purpose in life is so key. For me, it was real key of identifying and knowing what my purpose is. And art is not my purpose, it's the vehicle. My purpose is to help people know that they have purpose, they have significance, they're important, they have worth, they're valuable. That is what I realized is my purpose. And so my business and my art is my vehicle for that. And so how you identify your purpose is we kind of walk people through this process as they go through the mastery program, but is basically identifying your deepest pain and then flipping it. So my deepest pain was that I felt worthless. I felt like I had no significance. I felt like my life didn't count. And so when I overcame that, and I realized that I did have purpose, I was worthy, I had significance, it changed my life. And so now, standing in that truth, I can speak to others with authority and a deep knowing that they also count and they have significance. So I think knowing your purpose is what disassociates this feeling of selfishness, because for you, your art is also your vehicle to move into your purpose. Your purpose is at the core and the heart of everything that you do. And so your creativity and your paintings are like love letters to the world that express your purpose. So being able to balance and say no to things, and being able to tell somebody, no, I can't help you because I have this greater, deeper task to help the rest of the world by doing my art that's going to significantly change and bring transformation to somebody. So understanding that your art has power, that your art has a tremendous effect on other people, even if you feel like your art isn't any good, because guess what? A painting doesn't know if it's good or not. A painting doesn't know that it's a bad painting. It only knows its purpose that it was sent out for. So I've had a tremendous amount of bad paintings that I've created deeply affect people's lives. My first painting I ever did deeply and profoundly affected my dad's life and my life, my whole family's life. And it was a terrible painting. It technically was not a good painting. So paintings don't know that they're bad paintings. Paintings don't know that the color is flat or the form isn't right or the proportions are off. Paintings don't know that. All they know is the prophecy that's hidden inside of them to go make change. So you can say no to people. You can prioritize your painting time because that is the highest leverage thing you can do to serve the world, leave your mark on the world, and make lasting, effective change for other people. And that's what, to me, really makes life worthwhile. Now, if you have a 4-year-old that needs juice, go pour your 4-year-old juice. Like that's important also, right? You have to change a diaper. You have to do those things. But the next time you change a diaper, you're going to do it with such joy in your heart because you found your purpose and because you're applying your purpose every time you touch a paintbrush. So it all works synergistically. And guess what? You're showing your toddler that he has value and he has worth every time you change the diaper or whatever it is. Maybe love and acceptance is your superpower. Whatever it is, everything you do is embedded in that purpose. So I think purpose is a huge key, and to being able to really balance things because the guilt goes away.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like it's not selfish at all. If anything, it's like you said, it's selfless.
Yeah.
Like you can't you can't be everything for everyone,
and who else is going to slug it out in your studio, crying and being upset because they can't get, the lips right or whatever it is you're struggling with? Who else is going to do that? That's you. That's you that's going to go in there and do that. So, it's really important, good stuff. It's not frivolous. It's not just, fun and games. Unfortunately, many people in life, that's what they've come to believe and understand about artists and art, that, oh yeah, you get to go and paint and do whatever while I'm blah, blah, blah. But it is a labor of love. It's an act of service. It's a sacrifice. It's not all fun and games, as you know. And it's this weird thing that, like, if you ask any artist, they're going to tell you in the same breath, all I want to do is paint. I absolutely am miserable when I paint. It's the same breath. Like there is some sort of angsty difficulty, constantly, getting out of your comfort zone, feeling self-doubt, all the things that go with a creative life and that creative cycle. And then there's super amazing high times of painting, loving every second of it, and joy. But it seems to never let us go. Even if you haven't painted in years, you just want to and you think about it. It's chasing you down. And we've all kind of felt that, right? Or if you take a break and it's been many months since you picked up a paintbrush, you can't shake it. You can't let it go. It's nagging at you. It's constantly there. So that's how you know it's super duper important and worthwhile and significant. This isn't just a hobby. This isn't just some frivolous, fun, crafty thing that you're doing on Sunday mornings. This is big. This is important stuff. This is deep things. It's very deep. So yeah, I don't know why the whole world doesn't know that stuff, but artists know it, you know it, and we don't have to justify what we do with our time. It's our time. Why do we have to apologize to the people around us that, we're painting or we're doing anything? They don't, right? I mean, there's people that play video games for hours on end. Do they justify their time? Do they sit there and, make it like, it's okay? Watching TV? Think about how many people just sit and watch TV. Do they justify that time? So why do you have to justify the time that you want to spend, painting? Right, Tanner?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. What do you guys say? Am I right?
Yeah. The chat's lighting up. Someone's wondering, are you painting thick, straight white out of the tube to bring out the light?
No way, never, never, ever straight white out of the tube. Are you serious? No, I'm not. What I mixed here, because I'm painting with oils. If you don't know about warm and cool, take one of our classes and you'll learn about warm and cool. But this is straight white out of the tube. And if I put it next to this white that I just mixed, this is out of the tube and this is the white I used. It is ever so slightly different, but what I did is I warmed it up. So this looks like it's in front of that. And so here, where it's coming closer to us, it's warm. And then I need to put cool here where it's folding back. So how I make my white cool to where it's folding back is I put a little of these cool colors over here in it. And now it's about the same color, but it moves away. So I always mix some kind of color into my white. Number one, to get it to move and go back, right? And number two, because white out of the tube just looks dead and it has no life to it, and it needs something mixed into it. So I definitely mix other colors into it.
Is there ever a time where you would use white straight out of the tube onto the painting?
Sometimes when I'm doing like a shiny light, like these shiny lights, I will do like a ring of cool white, a ring of straight white out of the tube because it's neutral, and then a warm white in the middle, and then I get 3 whites that are very dimensional. But that's pretty much the only time.
Yeah. And someone's wondering, how do you decide the value of the colors at this stage?
Well, I'm working dark to light, so I'm building the highlights. So I'm looking at the source, and this is the value of this area right here, minus the highlights that would go on top. And so I would usually wait until that's dry so I can get a real clean fur. So I'm not gonna do it now, but this is the value of the highlight on this edge here. So I'm preparing myself for that, for those highlights. But I'm gonna let that wait. And if you don't know, what you can do is hold up, let's say you're trying to really match an exact value, right? I can hold up my brush to that value, squint my eyes at it, and now that value is, if it matches, then it's the right value. Trying to see value and color is a little tricky if you're not, if you haven't been painting for years and years, and so, or you haven't been painting representationally for years and years. So what you can do is take your source and put it in grayscale, and then take a picture of what you've painted and put it in grayscale, and then you can see, oh, that red is not the right value. I need to darken that, or I need to lighten that. Sometimes very high chroma things are difficult to see the value. But if you match the color and the value you can see by squinting, usually you can get it right.
Kelly's asking an interesting question. She said, Elli, I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are about the role of art in helping you work through difficult times in your life. Art as therapy, basically.
Yeah, art is very therapeutic. Basically, you don't have a choice. If you are an artist and you are painting on a regular basis, then it's therapizing you. You know, it is automatic therapy. Even if you think you're like fixed and you know you've had a tremendous amount of healing and growth. I know I have all throughout my life. It's like in my 20s, I had a big growth spurt and healing, and then in my 30s, my 40s, now in my 50s, and it probably never ends. And so every time I'm hitting a new threshold or you know, about to experience personal growth, it will first begin to manifest in my art. And it's like the art digs in there and begins maneuvering and fixing me. And then usually I get super emotional or you know, I start to feel it. And weird things begin to happen. And, you know, maybe a surge of memories, or it could be I get super frustrated or angry with a particular person, and that tells me I'm moving into forgiveness and letting go of some bitterness towards a person or something. But it happened in the art first. And it's not like I'll be doing a portrait of that person, let's say, that I want to forgive. It's not like that. I could be painting an abstract or a zebra or whatever. But something about the act of painting and that creative process just heals us, everyone. It is unavoidable. The only way I think you can avoid healing through art is if you paint left brain out of your head and never challenge yourself. So if you just kind of do the same thing again and again, and you don't really, you know, get out of your comfort zone ever, and you're not learning, you're not growing as an artist, you know, maybe art won't be therapeutic. So, yeah, I think art is extremely healing and extremely, and it's like art just knows. It knows what we need, and it won't go too fast or out of time. It won't challenge us beyond what we can handle. It won't break us. It won't, you know. It is this gentle, kind soul that just really does do it. And I think it's very spiritual. It's a spiritual journey. And so even think about that. You know, if you spend the time painting and creating, you're going to be so much better to your friends, your family, because you're going to get, you know, some healing and deeper functionality than what you already are.
Is that an iPad Ellie's using? No, it is a menu holder we got off of Amazon. Every live stream, so many people ask about that thing. It's so funny. It's a pretty revolutionary idea, honestly.
What? Are you sucking up to Euro right now? What's going on?
But everyone is always fascinated by it, though. But yeah, it's just a menu holder.
Euro, our production director, was insisting that I had this thing, and I was like, I don't want it. I need to hold my source in my hand. I need to see it like this. But then nobody can see my source. And so he pretty much forced me against my will to do this. And so I suffer. I suffer for you. I'm just kidding. It actually is pretty good. I don't mind it. It's better than taping it up there. I hated that. That was another solution they had in mind. And I don't like that. So, so every time somebody mentions it in the chat, I'm sure Euro is like patting himself on the shoulder over there.
All right, man, we're getting close to the end. We only have a few minutes left. So we talked a lot about, like, you know, kind of making time to paint, putting it forward. But like, what's your last minute advice for, let's say, someone set aside the time to paint, but they just don't feel like it. They just don't have the motivation to actually get in the studio and do it. How do you overcome that?
Okay. It is never the case, okay, where you won't feel like it, and then 10 minutes into creating, you still don't feel like it. 100% of the time, you go to create, and my goodness. I forgot what I was saying. Remind me, Tanner, what's the question?
How do you overcome if you don't feel like painting?
Right. So it's temporary. Not feeling like painting is completely temporary, like literally 3 minutes, 5 minutes. There's nothing wrong with you. You really are an artist. You know, a lot of times we think, I'm probably not really an artist because everybody else loves painting and I don't even feel like it. I'm not motivated. If I was a real artist, I would be motivated to paint. And that is just garbage. That is not true. And because I consider myself a real artist, and half the time I don't want to paint, but I know that it's temporary. Just like I don't want to work out. Never, ever, ever, when I'm putting on my sports bra and I'm putting on my leggings and I'm getting ready to go work out, I'm like, yippee, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be in pain any minute now and sweaty and hot. Like, this is so fun. That never happens to me. But in the middle of working out or at the end of working out, I feel so good and I'm so happy I did it. And once I get there and I'm into it, I like it. So, and that's working out. But painting is so much better. And it's the same way. So don't ever let that sabotage you, because it will, it's very normal. Almost every artist I know, feels the same way. And honestly, it's what separates, what the books say is that what separates a pro and an amateur. But another way to say that is, because maybe you're sitting here and going, well, I don't want to be a pro. I don't know. I'm perfectly happy being an amateur. Another way to say that is it separates artists who grow and elevate in their skills, deepen their voice, find more creative freedom from the artist who isn't growing. If you only paint when you feel like it, you won't paint very much. And therefore you won't grow very much. Therefore your skills aren't going to develop very fast. Therefore your voice will be elusive. The only way to find your voice, reach that level of creative freedom that you're really looking for, elevate your skills, the self-doubt to diminish and go away, is to paint. And to paint when you don't feel like it. That is the true test. Paint anyway. And so if you just tape that up all over your house and have that be in a mantra, I'm just going to paint anyway. I'm just going to paint anyway. It'll change your life. So it's very normal. There's nothing weird about you if you don't feel like painting. That's most of us. But as soon as you get in there and you paint anyway, within 5-10 minutes, you're loving it and everything's good. So yeah, that is a great question. I love that you asked that, because I think that is a trick. And we feel like I'm supposed to love painting, so this is weird that I don't feel like painting and I don't have motivation.
Yeah, and with that, our time has come to an end already. Okay,
well, this was fun. Thanks for being here with me. And I enjoyed painting with you guys and chatting and talking about the deep stuff and our struggles. And yeah, if you like this content and you really like these videos, be sure to subscribe. And that way you will get notified. And I think you ring a bell or something like that, and you'll get notified when one of these is coming up. So thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you the next time I paint with you.